Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I was actually down here in my man cave, and I'm waiting on the Dallas Cowboys press conference, Mike McCarthy. What is kind of interesting with the Cowboys is, what's up, Deontay? How you doing, man? Is the Cowboys, shout out to damn Gina, excuse me, for sharing the link on this. They actually have a partnership now with the state lottery. And Jerry Jones, of course, is making buku money with the Dallas Cowboys scratchers. And they did a press conference with that, taking pictures and this, that, and the other. And now we're waiting for Mike McCarthy to actually come on and talk about the Cowboys. Well, they're doing a casino too, but they're also part of the state lottery as well. And they have raised several $billions, $2.8 billion for the schools. Chris May, what's up? Sugar Daddy, how you doing? Man, some interesting stuff. I was actually doing uploading some videos and things. One of the videos is actually not live yet. Those of you who are friends or know Troy Daniels. Troy Daniels was admitted to the hospital yesterday and has got an infection that they're dealing with and stuff. I have a video that's uploading now about it. I'm going to make sure I share it with him. But if you can leave comments of thoughts and prayers and let him know that you're thinking about him and stuff, it'd be great. So we can share it with him, and hopefully he'll get out of the hospital soon. He's had a multitude of health issues course of the last couple of months, and I say everybody should be on the lookout and be thankful for your health. I myself have been dealing with, of course, COVID for going on 2 weeks. I finally have my first negative test today, thank God, but it's still lingering. I can still feel the scarring in my lungs and the deep breaths and stuff like that. You don't expect something to come along, but you got to make the most of the time that you got while you have it, because, life is too short and too precious. Sugar Daddy, what's up? And Sugar Daddy, fantasy football wise, you could put your team, if you wanted to do the team, you could put it on auto, basically let it do the auto draft and stuff like that if you're still interested in being part of the league. We're up to 6 leagues. Cowboy 5 rings. I hope that you have to change your name this year to Cowboy 6 rings. I really hope that happens. Couple interesting things. It's so easy to trigger Eagle fans. For guys that come in here boasting so much and talking about how great their team is, it's amazing how defensive they get so quickly. So they're having joint practices with the Miami Dolphins because, of course, they're going to be playing for the season finale. And Tyreek Hill spanked Big Play Slay. Big play. And so this is where you got to understand, I enjoy playing games with the Eagles fans, because, like I said, it's almost like cat and mouse. You say something and they're going to be looking to respond and defending them. But it's amazing how as soon as I put a clip up of that and talked about Big Play Slay getting burnt by Tyreek Hill, how they came to defending him and everything. Oh, that was just after trashing Diggs, when he got beat in practice one time. Did I see Brown spank Howard? No, I didn't see that one. But that's okay. But see, here's the thing. Howard's not considered to be Slay. I'm listening to Eagle fans that are sitting there talking about how great that Slay is, the best cornerback in the division. That that he's going to be covering and shutting down CeeDee Lamb and everything else. So I'm just kind of like, so that's your big gun? It's time for a name change, and hopefully I'm changing it frequently. Right at this point, I'd just be happy for one name change, to be quite honest with you. One name change would be great for me at this moment. Hell, sometime before I leave up out of here, because you just don't know. I just want to taste it just at least one more time. I want my son to be old enough to remember it, of course, because he was definitely very young when the Cowboys were winning all of them. He was here, but he didn't really know football like that. But a couple of things that are interesting. Connor McGovern, the governor, it seems like the Cowboys are trying to find a home for him. Yesterday he was working out at center. which is kind of intriguing because you'll remember last year they had Connor Williams also working out at center. So that kind of says that they're not really satisfied per se with Biotish. So, yeah, we'll see how he does with it. He was a center in his days back in college part of the time. He did play some center, so it's not completely new to him. Thinking about Connor Williams, they're trying to get him to play some center. Actually, at Miami, he's not real good at center. He's not been good. In fact, I haven't looked lately to see what news there is on Connor Williams. Like the guy, but I think we are actually in better shape now without him. Let's see, is there any news on Connor Williams? Nope, no more headlines on him. I was worried. Well, actually, here's what I think happened, because I had gotten back from California, no, issues and things like that. When we were on the plane, except for when I was shooting videos, I was wearing a mask and things like that. And for the most part, in some situations, you get in the restaurant and eat, you don't have to. And in the airport, you don't have to wear a mask and stuff on there. So I'm shooting videos and, taking off the mask. But, still being cautious as much as possible. I think it was, I got back Saturday, and then it was like 5 days later, I went to Redskins training camp. I'm thinking that's when it actually happened, because I had been back for 2 weeks. I'd been back for 2 weeks from California when it actually hit in. So I'm thinking, usually they say 2 to 10 days for incubation period. And it was Tuesday that I went to Redskins training camp, and it was Friday that the symptoms started. And so I'm thinking that maybe I got it there. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. The point is, I got it. I had all the shots and stuff for it. Didn't get hospitalized, but I tell you, it kicked my ass, and still have some lingering tiredness and stuff from it. Mickey Cox would make a great moderator as well. She does very well. Okay. All right. I don't know that I've seen Mickey Cox, but all right. Well, definitely let me know next time he's on. Yeah, at least look, I'm going to blame it on FedEx. I tell you a funny one. I don't often check my voicemail, and I was checking my voicemail. I'm sorry. You're right, Milton. It's the Washington Commanders away. I was checking my voicemail yesterday, and I came across a whole bunch of different voicemails that I just hadn't checked in quite a while. And I had one from Philly 500, and he's yelling at me, "I know you gave me COVID somehow through the internet, blah, 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 blah." I was like, what? And so I thought this was like a recent one, like this happened like this last, couple of days or so. And so I immediately called him. I was like, "Philly, are you okay?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You got COVID." He's like, "Oh, that was months ago." I was like, "Oh," I said, "I got the voicemail." He's like, "Yeah, thanks for being a real friend there." That was like 3 months ago when I left you. I said, "Hey, I did get back to you. I've been a little busy, man." And then we got talking about the Eagles and Cowboys. And a lot of people think that the two of us hate each other. Some people that actually take the rivalry and think it's serious. No, we actually talk on a regular basis and stuff and look out for each other. But talking about his concerns, he won't say it on his channel, but, he's like, Cowboys are still really good. He's like, you guys still scare me. And talking about like Jordan Davis, that he's like, the guy is a beast, which I can't deny that he is, but his conditioning. And it's like, he's like, well, he's got to get in better shape. It's like, yeah, he's got to get in better shape. But the question is, how do you get in better shape now? If you're not in shape going the season, you're not practicing any harder once the season starts. Blue Virus, what's up, Blue Virus? How you doing, man? Tay Cowboys, how you doing? Listening to local ESPN show, and they're theorizing Jerry wants to tank the season so he can fire McCarthy and hire Dan Quinn as a head coach. He doesn't have to tank the season to do that. I mean, we've had coaches that have gone to Super Bowls and then the next year get fired. I mean, think about Denver with, what's his name? When they got Peyton Manning, they went to the Super Bowl and lost the first one. Um, Fox. I think it was Fox. Yeah, Fox. I think it was Fox. Because then he went to the Bears. John Fox, yeah. John Fox took the Denver Broncos to the Super Bowl and got fired. And they went on back. So, Jerry wants to fire somebody. You don't have to have a reason. And if that were the case, tank the season and then hire Dan Quinn, why not have just fired him in the beginning of the offseason? You got Dan Quinn already here. Yeah, and well, they can still put him on there as late as Tuesday. And here we go.
Quick question and a follow-up. Tyler Smith and his ankle, can you update us on this situation?
Yeah, Tyler, he'll be with the rehab group, so he's working and getting better each day.
What is his status as far as Friday night's game, and just overall, what do you think of the competition between him and Connor McCarthy?
We haven't rolled him out yet, so still working with. He'll be working with Britt. And I think Connor's done some really good things. Connor, took some snaps last night at center. I'm going to try to get him some work potentially Friday night at center. So just he's been the third center, for us last year. So just trying to. Just hit all those different things, work on who your fourth quarterback is. And, those are the kinds of things that we've been talking about here as we get to the end of training camp.
You talked to Clarence Hill, four-star Telegram. You talked a couple weeks ago in camp that there was come a time when you wanted to get your line together, to start a group together so you can get that chemistry and continuity. When do you get to that point?
Well, we're doing it in the practices. If you just watch the way we're repping them, everything's broken up by group. So, and the reality of it is, if you do the comparables from this year to last year, our reps in practice, particularly joint practice, is a lot higher than I've ever experienced. So I feel like we're hitting that target.
I guess as a race to Tyler, and Connor. I know Connor's gotten snaps at center, gets snaps at fullback. Does that mean that you're looking at Tyler to be the starting left guard? Is that where we are?
Those decisions aren't going to be made. It's Connor is. I would put, if we started today, Connor would play there. Left guard. Obviously, Tyler's coming on strong. He does a lot of good things. He's like the rest of our rookies. They need to play. They just need to play and keep getting better. Connor definitely has value at other positions. Which I value a lot. I think he's a damn good fullback. I think if he lined up and played fullback, 10, 12 plays a game, I think he'd be recognized, for it. So we're looking at all those things because it's a long season, and we want to be able to get in and out of as many personnel groups as we can.
Michael Guthrie, Dallas Morning News. If Connor was to start, would the situation be where Tyler would just rotate in for the MAC sub package and just kind of go back and forth? Would you comfortable with that kind of movement on your offensive line?
No.
Well, that's we'll get there when we get there. Yeah, but it's you got to play. There's a reason why you have 48 up. You want to use them all. Especially, I don't think you take a rookie and just line them up as the starter either. That's why you have competition. That's why those two guys are competing for position. It's only going to make us better, at the left guard position. And then also you have different combinations. We have the, Connor's also done the big tackle for us, the tight end. So, the unbalanced, all those things are still viable.
Jobu Shop, The Athletic. Where do you think Jalen Tolbert's at right now? And do you think he's ready for, a starting role week one?
I thought Jalen had probably his best practice last night. I thought he did a lot of good things. So, similar, answers to the question about Tyler. Jalen just needs to play. He needs to play a lot Friday night, and just keep improving. So, we haven't, picked our 53 yet, and we definitely haven't put together the Tampa Bay, game plan as far as exactly who's going to be playing where and how much.
Hey, Miss Hot Sauce.
Mike, can you just speak to the energy when you have the crowd practicing in Ford Center and just what comes with that? I know that there's crowds in Oxnard, but it's probably a little different when it's in that environment.
Well, I just want to compliment our fans, not only just for last night, but for in Los Angeles. I mean, that crowd at the Charger game was unbelievable. I mean, you would have thought that you were at AT&T. Just the number of fans we had at the game, and it just carried over last night. It's an incredible boost. Our GPS numbers were off the charts, and you got to give. You got to give the fans some credit for that. We had great energy last night. If you take out some of the pre-snap penalties, it clearly, in my view, is our best practice of training camp. So there's a lot of good football on both sides.
Todd.
Todd Archer of the ESPN. Need that introduction, I guess. With Jerry just kind of indicated that Gallup will open the year in the 53. What kind of, with his comeback from this knee injury, how do you manage all that when you have to put together how many receivers you keep, how many outside, inside, and all that stuff?
I mean, once again, we had a big personnel meeting after the game this past week. We'll do the same, come Saturday and Sunday. You got to play this last game. There's young guys that are battling for spots, and how that 53 comes together. So obviously we don't want to. We don't want to take away Michael's opportunity to play as soon as possible, but how that comes down at the end, that's really to be determined.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Back to McGovern, is that more about him position flexibility at center, or what you have behind Tyler?
No, I think it's just forecasting ahead. I mean, when you start making game plans, you have to have you carry two quarterbacks in a game, you got to have a third. You have a third quarterback, or vice versa. If you have four quarterbacks, if you have three, so no different with center. I mean, you're going to have 8 guys up. You got to have a third center. So it's just make sure we're covered there. I mean, I feel great about Tyler Biadasz and what he's done, and really like the other young centers too. Alec Lindstrom's going to do some individual today, so hopefully he can work back in. See if he can maybe get some snaps Friday. So yeah, this is really just making sure we hit all the targets that you always do set out for in training camp.
Mike Jory, Epstein, USA Today. You mentioned that you believe Jalen Tolbert had his best practice yesterday. What in your experience is the key for these young guys translating a practice like that to the game, preseason, or real? What's the key to doing it?
Well, it's stacking success. I mean, it's one thing to go out and do it once, and and that's the beauty of the competition in the National Football League, because anytime you have success, regardless of the position, the other side takes notice, and it's going to be harder for you to continue, to have that success. So, and that's what every player goes through. So, just his opportunity now to stack it, and it's going to be a quicker practice tonight. But I'd like to see him go out with the same intensity and be productive.
David Holmes, Fox Sports. In your experience doing this, is it more common or likely for a guy in the last preseason game to play his way onto the roster, or somebody play their way off of the roster?
Good question.
Great question. I would say I don't view it that way, because I really don't, and I've worked with coaches that pick the team every day, starting first day of training camp, and I just don't do that. And the reason why I don't is because, pretty much the majority of the teams that I've been a head coach on are draft and develop rosters. So there is some variance, and you need to get past that second preseason game. You really do. I mean, I just look at the way our rookies practice today compared to 2 weeks ago. I mean, there's Sam Williams. I mean, there's a lot of guys have taken big jumps here. So, and especially today, you don't have the padded practice opportunities that you have. So, I'm trying to give you a real, like I always do, give you honest answers here. But I'm trying. I think that I would say
Old Man Lions.
if you're keeping score. But I've never really, because I know this. There been too many times. My first year as a head coach, we went to the 53 with 50 players, including 3 guys. But other than that, I don't ever recall having the 53 being an easy decision. So it's always tough.
Like with Turpin and what he was able to do with the returns last night, is that almost a bad thing in some respects? Because it's good for you guys, but teams now see that they can kick away from it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, because it's not that he hasn't done it. He's obviously done it at TCU and did it last year. And if you watch USFL games, I mean, he was dynamic throughout the year. But Yeah, I think would I like to have those two in week one of the regular season? Absolutely, it would have been nice. But I just think but the blocking unit needs just as much as they do. I mean, it's the first time that they've really had a chance to block for him. So you need that work. But yeah, I mean, it was exciting. But you can see the talent and his ability to really. I mean, he takes 2 steps and he's off and running full speed. So he's going to get some more opportunities at receiver this week. So we want to give him an opportunity to keep growing in the receiver room, because obviously with the late addition, I think he's picked it up seamlessly. I've been very impressed with that, but we want to try to give him some more opportunities.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio. Could you speak specifically as to how Malik Davis is contributing on special teams and all aspects?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think if you look at that body type, the different positions that you're able to play on the 4 core, or it's on the punt team, which is, obviously we got a number of rookies that are really vying, for starting roles on a punt team. That says a lot. I mean, we could have as many as 3 to 4 start, week one, which, I don't think I've ever seen that in my time. So, and Malik is definitely one of those guys. So he's has good coverage skills, and the fact that he can play wing, so I would definitely view him as a 4-core player.
Mike Jory, Epstein USA Today. There's a moment when we were in locker room last night when Dak called Sam Williams over to discuss something with him and Zeke, and I imagine not on every team the veteran quarterback and the rookie defensive end are having that rapport so early. Have you noticed that at all, and what does that say about those guys and the culture of the team?
Yeah, I would say it's unusual, from my experience, but yeah, I think it's important, and I think not only Dak recognizes that, but also I think it speaks to the connection that these guys have in the locker room. And this is a very close-knit locker room. This rookie group, and just speaking, this is what I've been told from the veterans. They have come in here showing a lot of respect for the veterans, and you can see their connection growing, a little quicker than most years. So, and I think that's a byproduct of that.
Terrell Basham, what have you made of his play over the past couple weeks? You feel like he's come on a little bit?
I think he's probably had as consistent as a camp up in that front, particularly in the rushers. I mean, Bash is, very bright, very instinctive, has great understanding. I think really as a whole defensively, these guys are cranking. Their understanding is clearly way ahead of where we were this time last year, and Bash is one of those players.
That the defensive line group, that's going to be some tough decisions, I would assume, for you, more so than since you've been here.
Totally. I mean, you can keep them all. I mean, you can go through there and, but you'd have 19 guys on offense if we keep, we have a lot of depth on defense, and even in the secondary too. So we have some very difficult decisions to make there.
Mm-hmm.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. How complete is the picture for you all as a staff at backup quarterback? Or maybe another way to ask it is, what else do you think you need to see Friday night?
Well, just want to see the young guys play mostly. I think I feel good about where Cooper is. Cooper will play, but we haven't set in stone number of reps. I'm going to get through tonight's practice, but yeah, Will looks to be okay, so he's going to practice again tonight. So I like to see as much as him as possible.
We'll finish with Todd.
Well, Let's Go was in Pat yesterday.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if he did any team stuff. What's the ramp up
Yeah,
process?
did some team, so hopefully he can do more today. So we're not doing a whole lot of individual. We're going to jump pretty quickly into the team stuff. So yeah, we want to see him take a step, and hopefully we feel good after today, and he can play Friday.
Is that swing tackle job open? Well, I guess every job's open, but how do you view the swing tackle kids going into this?
I think Josh Ball he's growing each week. I mean, he's a great example of someone that just needs the reps. I think he's benefited not only from the joint practices, but the high quality of reps that he's had in the first 2 preseason games. AC's done a heck of a job too. Mm-hmm. So those guys have been out there playing. That's why it's good to get Matt out there. But yeah, I mean, it's young guys that are growing.
Michael's job not open.
What's that?
He said every job's open. He said Michael's job not open.
Micah?
Yeah, his job's not open.
He did pretty good last night, didn't he?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's the end of. Turn that off. All right. Somebody was saying in here about Cedric Wilson. Yeah, so Cedric Wilson was garbage. Yeah, and now we're replacing it with young people. Nobody said that Cedric Wilson is garbage, but I will say that, here's the thing with Cedric Wilson, okay? And let me go through because I want to actually, let's see. Let's go ahead and do this here. Cedric Wilson was a good receiver, but Cedric Wilson and Dak sometimes weren't on exactly the same page either. There were a couple of times where there were passes that could have been like game changers, and Cedric Wilson's turned the wrong way. And that may be because he didn't have that much time. Cedric Wilson had 602 yards last year, which was good, a good season. He had 6 TDs. That was fantastic. But he benefited from the offense in general from there. And I'm not sure that we're ready to say that Cedric Wilson is like a top 20 wide receiver here, like, it seems to be that people are trying to make it out to be. He was a, third wide receiver some of the time and benefited because CeeDee Lamb was getting attention because Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard in the running game were doing well. We'll see how it is when he's although with Miami, he's got other great wide receivers with him. He might not get out on the field. But I can think of it, the best way I can equate Cedric Wilson would be like Alvin Harper. When Alvin Harper was playing with the Cowboys, you couldn't tell me that Alvin Harper wasn't one of the best receivers in football. But then once he ended up having to go somewhere else, all of a sudden you saw the warts that Alvin Harper had and the lack of the skills that he had. He benefited from having Michael Irvin over there and, of course, the great running game and Troy Aikman passing to him. And the thing that that's going to be interesting to me is this. A lot of people will look and think that Dak is only good because he's got the best wide receivers in the world. Well, it's kind of crazy that the Cowboys seem to be one of those teams that are always one of the worst teams at dropping the football. That's not the quarterback, that's on the receivers. And a lot of the interceptions early on in Dak's career were guys like Terrence Williams, tipping the ball up, and it's an interception because they couldn't hold on to it. Terry Lee, shout out to Terry Lee. The question we'll beg is, will we see that Cedric Wilson was better because he had Dak Prescott as a quarterback and Dak Prescott made him, or is it that he's just a great receiver? We can take the Randall Cobb situation and let's have some fun here, because Randall Cobb, let's have some fun here, because this is one of those things I enjoy. I enjoy having arguments with people. But let's pop this up here. This is, if we look at Randall Cobb, okay? Randall Cobb early in his years, 2014, he was an absolute beast. 91 receptions, 1,287 yards, 14.1 yards a reception. That's rare air right there. But every year after that, 829, he dropped down to 10.5. The next year, 610, 10.2. The next year, 653, 9.9. You saw him literally drop off the face of the earth to the point, and this is with Aaron Rodgers throwing the football to him, right? That's with Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to him, and we all know that Aaron Rodgers is the bad man, right? And the Packers basically said, this guy's washed. Let's move on. So he went from 384 yards, 38 receptions, 10.1 yards per reception, to then with the Cowboys to a career high 15.1 yards per reception, and brought his numbers up to 828, which was the best season he had since 2015. Right? Now, take a look what happened when he went to the Texans with Deshaun Watson throwing to him. Everybody said, Deshaun Watson, he's better than Dak Prescott. That dropped back down to 11.6. And excuse me. And then him going back to Aaron Rodgers to 375. So what happened to make him have that 828 yards? And mind you, he had three touchdowns that were called back because of bullshit penalties. He would have been a 1,000-yard receiver pretty much had it not been for some of those things, because there were some deep passes. But be that as it may, that's a case where you look at it and say that receiver was better with Dak Prescott than he was in recent years with Aaron Rodgers and with Deshaun Watson. So is Cedric Wilson, if that same thing is true, that Cedric Wilson was elevated because of the Cowboys offense and Dak Prescott throwing him. And you can say the same thing about Amari Cooper. You can say the same thing about Allen Hurns. There's a lot of receivers that are having their best numbers in their career with Dak Prescott. Even, believe it or not, this one will blow you away. And I will say, as far as Cedric Wilson, that you're looking at the replacement on the roster right now in Turpin. Yeah, Turpentine will be the replacement for him, where you have some real speed. Now, let's go through. Check this out. This is one of those things that kind of make you go, wait a minute, really? If you look at Dez Bryant, this is Dez Bryant's numbers, okay? Yard average. Check this out. With Tony Romo, 12.5, 14.7, 15, 13.3, 15. And then 12.9, Tony Romo. With Dak Prescott, check this out. He didn't catch that many passes, but take a look at his yards per catch. The highest of his career was with Dak Prescott, 15.9. The highest before that was 15 twice with Tony Romo. So you all of a sudden look at guys, was he elevated because of Dak or because he's just a great player? I'm just kind of pointing out there seems to be a trend there. And so I'm sitting here looking and putting together the pieces here where we have, a guy like Turpin who is fast, who can be mismatches. We saw today in practice how Big Play Slay was toasted by the cheetah. And sometimes you go ahead and get these mismatches. And this is where I go back to 12 personnel. Let me say shout out to all the ladies. Joanne Gonzalez. I know Miss Lola's in here. I don't have my soundboard over here with me, and I apologize, but you know how much we care about y'all. But you'll end up looking for some mismatches where you'll bring in a Turpin, which has, is a speed guy that you can put him going down the field and streaking, and sometimes even use him as a decoy, and then end up running around him because he'll clear out different things. So, yes, Cedric Wilson's not a bad receiver, but he's not the receiver that I think a lot of people now are having revisionist history saying that, he's a great, or how can we let that guy go? Well, okay, all right. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. I actually have faith in some of our young guys, and I believe the 12 personnel is going to be the replacement for Amari Cooper. And we're going to look back, and all of a sudden, this offense is going to be a lot better than what the talking heads have been. Especially Keith Richardson. Dak is better. Dak is in a much, much better place to start the season right now because, having that foot where he can really plant and let that sucker rip. And he is dead on accurate this year, even more so than he's ever been, had a great camp, and has had time to work with all these guys all off season. So, yeah, I feel really good about him and things. So, it doesn't matter. The Cowboys, we know, will forever be talked about because that's what people do. And speaking of being talked about, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp are going to be having Micah Parsons on Tuesdays during the season. So that'll be interesting. We'll be interested to see if Skip Bayless ends up trashing his jersey if he happens to have a bad game or talking the same crap that he does with Zeke Elliott and Dak and things like that. It'll be fun to see how all that goes. So that's where we are. Mike McCarthy says that they're basically working Connor McGovern at center to be the third center, that they did some of this last year, and just want to make sure they're getting as much work as they can. Will Greer and, of course, Cooper Rush, of course, are going to get a lot of work as they try and figure out who is going to be the starter And as far as Tyler Smith goes, that he's a rookie and still has things to learn. And basically they're trying to get the most out of him to make him hungry to get the position. But we know it's a foregone conclusion that he will be the starter at guard. Jalen Tolbert, he said, actually had probably his best practice last night, and looking good. And of course, Micah Parsons was looking fantastic as always. All right, good people. I guess that's really about all we have here with the Mike McCarthy press conference. One other thing I want to say, I've got a video. It's not live yet, but it will be soon. Troy Daniels, one of our great fans out here, is in the hospital right now with an infection and things. I'm putting out a video to let him know that we're thinking about him and stuff. And if you can leave a comment, give him some words of encouragement, and let him know that you're thinking about him, definitely would be a good thing. Amazing Shade, who got cut for the Cowboys? Well, we had the cut list yesterday. We ended up having Laram, the kicker, ended up cut. We had Jeremy Sprinkles, tight end, was cut by the Cowboys, which was more of an injury settlement. God, I've already forgotten the players already that quick. Bye, Lola. I will see you later on, girl. We pray for you, Troy, but definitely leave a comment and stuff for Troy Daniels, and let him know that you're thinking about him, because, when you're in the hospital, there's nothing worse than just being there and just having so much time to just think, let people know that you care about them, and all that can do a person a lot of good. I guess that's all we got right now. All right, good people. I will see you guys later, and don't forget to hit up Troy.